This next story has been suppressed by mainstream media. Let's go to Andreas for more.
Everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hello. Welcome to the Xirtus. Tune in for another exciting episode of wonder, imagination, and discovery.
Recent Tartarians.
Несмотренно образует всеобщие закономерности, определяющие законы классической физики для нашего
Sometimes I
мира.
look at the moon and just think, the skin's beautiful.
Baby, when I met you, there was peace unknown.
Что касается энергии наномер, то она превышает ядерную в немыслимое число раз. 10 в 74 степени.
That's it. That's it. That's it. With your arms now. That's it. That's it.
Thank you for watching Xirtus. Keep listening. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, please follow and subscribe and share and support. It really helps. Coming up next, Xirtus.
By the way, that's gone. If you didn't record that, that's gone forever. It's gone.
Awesome. All right, so we're here with the very lively and Nicole Wordsmith to talk about death, the dead, the underworld. It's gonna be cool. We'll be sinking into the underworld, you know, that whole thing. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. No, I'm excited. I mean, you have a whole presentation. Like I got to see some of the slides, so thank you, you know.
It's been many years of observation, and I just felt like if I don't put it out now, like everything's going to become so irrelevant that it's not going to I'm not going to be able to make my point anymore. So like it would be so far in the distant past that no one's going to even resonate with it at all. So this is a good opportunity for me to just say my piece. It's just for entertainment purposes only. This is just a theoretical exploration. I'm not making any claims. But
say your piece and rest in peace. So I think a preface might be good that we might all be dead. You know what I mean? This all might be, we might all just be living a little bit. Maybe we're just on our, you know, our brains are falling asleep in the last moments before there's any oxygen is gone and we're dying in this huge REM cycle that feels like your lifetime, you know, like waking life. A lot of people will say you live in a simulation, and then they say, well, the simulation theory is kind of like just Buddhism, and Buddhism is about the samsara, and you're probably just living in a naraka, some sort of a materialist illusion, right? And that just insinuates that you're not really alive, which would mean that you're dead. And so we might all be dead. And that's something we've thought about, I think a lot of us at least, that this could all, I mean, who cares? It could be like Descartes, where you're living your life and that doesn't matter. But it could also be very Kafkaesque. You could be living in this metamorphosis period, because a lot of the time, right before you die, you know, that moment is sort of like being in a cocoon or in some hibernation period. So we were talking about Wayward Pines. That was the show that I saw I saw it 5 years ago, but for some reason I've been thinking about it more recently. And it does have a Twin Peaks vibe, but if you don't want to spend several weeks watching the entire show, I found the entire story of Wayward Pines in 20 minutes, and I could recommend that. But basically this idea, and there's a lot more to the show, but that metaphor that we might all be living in some sort of a jar with a stick and a leaf to recreate what we are used to, some sort of a fake simulation. But that's the nicest way to put it. And this is not a new idea. I mean, we could go back in history and see that the Egyptians talked about this, the Tibetans talked about this. There's a lot of other ideas, you know, that people have had that are basically about this, and a lot of religions are built on this idea that you're living in a dream. But yeah, okay, just wanted to preface that.
I think it's very synchronistic that we are doing this presentation on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh my God.
He had
well done, you know, yeah. and he's dead too. So
Yeah.
it's weird synchronicity.
Mm.
Yeah. So okay, maybe you want to preface on like when you first, before we start the presentation, you want to give a little background on like why and when you started thinking about these ideas that we might be living in some sort of, or that, you know, whatever you're thinking. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, no. So like I think I was saying yesterday, like COVID really kind of threw me into a spiral, a descent, and I could not fathom, or I couldn't reconcile that this was reality anymore. Like the world made no sense. Things were so irrational, so crazy, and it was like a living nightmare, like a dream, but like a bad dream, what was happening. And so I started to, at first, like I said, I was trying to get political about it, fighting the structures. And then as like the algorithm continued in my life, it kind of like started shifting me towards like occulted, esoteric ideas about stuff. I went from like the phases, like I went from like denial to anger, I don't know if those are the stages of grief, but eventually I started to realize like I was so angry at like the stupidity of so much stuff, but then something told me like this is a joke on some level. Like there are messages that are being conveyed through like metaphor or riddle that are being told in these stories. And so I started to just look at everything through a different lens at that point, and I realized like, okay, we are like, to me, like I feel like you can't look at it too long without denying. Like you can't see these like numbers adding up, the dates, the names, all of it is like pointing to there is some sort of like architect navigate or running this show that we're living. And so anyway, to take it all back to like, are we even alive or not? I guess after COVID happened, I just started to have like, I don't know, some questions. And for me, and maybe this is just all for my own psychological exploration, but like in my life, like the scariest movies I've ever seen were The Others. Do you remember that one with Nicole Kidman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I saw that when I was, I think maybe 19 or something, and that scared the crap out of me. And it was like the ending of the movie, not spoiler alert, it's like a 25-year-old movie, but they're dead. Like they are the ghosts. They don't realize, they think they're like fighting, they think their house is haunted, but they are the ones that are haunting the house.
And there's a lot of tie in, like, I mean, that's the Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense was also, you know, at the time there was like several movies kind of about this idea, right?
Yeah, it was the same time. Huh.
Yeah.
So anyway, and there was a couple other, like I think there was an episode of American Horror Story where the same premise had happened. Like she didn't realize she was dead. She kept trying to leave, and she kept coming back to the place where she was, and it was like that moment when like the movie shows that she's actually like dead in the house the whole time was like another like horrifying thing that just like stuck with me forever. And so I was like, why did those stick so deeply in my psyche? So that I guess maybe that was part of the reason that I started to wonder, like, what does that mean to me? So
right. Yeah. And I think I'm starting to remember now, actually. So I was thinking it was 2020, but like actually Wayward Pines, I saw it must have been before the election, because it's like 2015 or 16 it came out. So something about 2020 when I was driving in the snow, I think in Minnesota, reminded, once I got out of New York and was in the Midwest trying to avoid what I thought could have been a pandemic, right? I was thinking about that show because being in the snow reminded me of the detective character going to this small town, because the whole point of Wayward Pines, he's looking for other people who've disappeared into Wayward Pines, right? And there was also another series, I think it was actually just the 10th season of X-Files, the newer whatever season of X-Files that was around the same time, that they were a former friend and colleague and employee of the FBI who was a techno nerd, was trapped inside of some sort of a simulated world where he couldn't leave. And it was not him, but it was like a copy of him because he had died or something. But they had an entire community of people that couldn't be paid, that were just in this simulated world. They couldn't escape. So they had to work all the time to exist, because otherwise it would shut down the system. So the simulacrum, right? And then in the last few years, you know, I was a friend of mine, Dr. Roman Yampolsky, who I've interviewed a few times, and now he's doing rather, you know, he's been more popular since he did the Joe Rogan podcast. But we've talked for years about whether or not we're in a simulation, because I interviewed him at first asking him about AI, because his whole thing is AI security. And if AI will eventually take over the world and we should slow down AI. But one of his less, he's less vocal about opinions is that he completely believes that we're in a simulation. And there are so many people I meet who are very serious technologists who believe that we're living in some sort of a dream world, either a digital dream world or at least a virtual reality, right, in some way. And the symbol thing, there was another thing I saw. I'm trying to remember who it was saying this. I think it might have been, it's like, it wasn't Eddie Vedder, but it was one of these rock stars. It might have been Ted Nugent talking about clockwork elves on, I think, the Bill Maher Politically Incorrect talk show in the early 2000s. It must have been just before September 11th, I think, before the show was, you know, getting close to canceled. And he was talking about how clockwork elves were constantly interfering with his life, that they couldn't communicate, or they didn't communicate in like English, but in synchronicities and coincidences, because those were events of space-time arrangement that they could then show again, which is basically what words are to some extent anyway, are symbols that are repeated that can carry the same meaning that they were either expressing in the past or we've used to describe events in the past, right? So in some way, that all of these symbols that we're experiencing that seem like, wow, that's a crazy coincidence, or isn't it weird that there's 13 of these or 33 days of that might be literally something trying to speak to you, which is what the ancients talk about with, you know, look for the signs, right, of God communicating to you or something. Like, look for the signs. And there's all these little, what are they always? There are always these coincidences and synchronicities. So,
yeah. And we always know, like, that dreams communicate in symbols. Like, that's like our psychology 101 information. I think it's interesting that you kind of had that like thought or that revelation while you were in Minnesota, because that is so consumed with like ice right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. And 32, you were showing the amazing post series you did. I should share it, actually. Let's look at that really quickly, because that was an interesting series that you did, just talking about Minnesota. And after even being there for so long, living there for so long, not really getting it as well as you did. Let me go back down. The shark surf thing is pretty good. Help guide me through this. I think it's this one right here. Yeah,
that one. And then I quoted the George Floyd ice raids, but
Minnesota, the 32nd state to join the union. 32 degrees is the threshold and the freezing point. 32 is the highest earning degree in the Freemasonry, highest earned degree, which is related to duality. Minneapolis is known as by the way, 32 highest earned degree in Scottish Rite, Freemasonry specifically. Minneapolis is known as the Twin City. Twins are symbolic in the matrix of polarity and an eternal battle between light and dark, spirit and matter, control, liberty, fire and ice. I would even say the two pillars, right? It's interesting. The twins, like the Twin Towers. Yeah. And George Floyd's tattoo bore the double-headed eagle. Oh, I forgot about that. That is totally interesting when you think about the Twin Cities and the Freemasons and the double-headed Scottish Rite eagle.
And I don't know. Someone told me that that's not what that tattoo is. So I might have been fact checked on that.
I mean, I don't think it was
from a distance.
I don't think it was literally the Scottish Rite, but it is an eagle, right? With two heads, right? I'm pretty sure that's what it was, like a phoenix or an eagle. You know, he's got that. Yeah. But I don't think it was specifically the Scottish Rite eagle. I mean,
it
it doesn't really matter. a single body with two opposing gazes, echoing a city and a nation split against itself. Oh man, in terms of the Civil War, the twin cities, like that's a pretty good metaphor right there. And then you've got a whole bunch of posts here talking about 32 and the values of 32: power, Helios, Christ, Templars, America, Jerusalem. So pretty good stuff.
Oh yeah, and George Floyd was considered a twin, right? Like he wasn't technically, but like that Steve Jackson basketball player was like his was like they called each other twins. And
weird.
And it's also like he died during Gemini season, and Gemini rules the lungs, and the lung, you know, and his whole thing was like, I can't breathe. Like that was his line that we associate with him.
Right. And also, you know, like that the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon first song is Breathe, right?
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, okay, so I wanted to share that, and now I'm going to find the presentation. So hold on. Is it here we go. Okay. Let me make sure it's a good size there. Okay, and you can see that?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is your presentation. So I'll let you present it, but let me know when you want me to flip pages or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, so here's where I don't know that purgatory and underworld are the same thing, but I feel like we are in like some sort of blend of the two. And COVID like sent us into a viral apocalypse on like multiple levels, like the virus, and then just like going into a more viral metaverse.
Well, yeah, from the Vedic and Buddhist perspectives, hell is temporary, right? Like there are periods of processes, and they're not just punishments. In fact, the punishment is the work you have to do in order to undo the consequences of former actions or to better yourself or the world. So at very least, from the Eastern perspective, the underworld, the Tartarus, is totally associated with purgatory. And in fact, purgatory is not even a very biblical concept. There's not a lot in the Bible about purgatory. It's a Catholic, I wouldn't say invention, but it's a Catholic adoption into Christianity from, you could say, like there's Kabbalistic schools that the Jews have followed as well, but definitely in the Veda, hell and purgatory are one idea. And
I think I unconsciously selected orange as the cover for that, because like, I don't know, purgatory reminds me of like a squeeze. And then we had Donald Trump in office this whole time, and he's like our orange president, and orange is like symbolic of like the prison jumpsuits and the Halloween colors. And
orange has been on my mind a lot recently. I sat on an orange couch in Munich for like several hours, and I saw a lot of orange furniture recently. I mean, for some reason or other, and just it's been sticking out to me.
Yeah, well, and it's the sacral chakra, right? We're all kind of born from the sacral chakra, which is the navel. The navel orange is the most popular orange in this matrix. So that's kind of where we get squeezed out into this world.
So yeah, and then poetic justice.
Yeah. So in terms of like, I feel like a lot of everything is being communicated to us here in like signs and metaphors and symbols. It also just kind of like the journey through the underworld is like encoded with metaphor and hidden meaning. And there's like a veil that invites us. There's always like a descent, right? You have to like go down for your initiation process. And here I was bringing up like the Jung, he saw the unconscious as the underworld, the collective unconscious, and then just like all the Greek Hades. Didn't you did you do Orpheus? Was that the play that you were in?
Yeah. So Orpheus and Eurydice. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about these for a long time as well, actually.
That's so funny. I think that's a cool synchronicity too.
Yeah, for me, the Orpheus story, you know, it seems like the kind of best way to understand the relationship of the gods, right? Because Hades is not the devil, and in fact, really, Zeus is kind of more like the devil in a lot of ways. Like the father is dead, murdered by the son. It's this inversion, kind of this antithesis of the Christian belief structure. And Hades is sort of forced into this bad, is dealt a bad hand, and is in love with his wife, and his wife seems to love him. I think and I'm not the first to suggest this, that Persephone is not unhappy to be with this dark, brooding, tall figure. You know, she's quite happy, but her family are against the relationship and the marriage. So there's a relationship that is temporary, or at least there are cycles of time where she has to go back and see her family for, you know, half of the year or whatever it is, creating winter, because then the earth itself is unhappy when their love is not together, you know.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that there's something, I think, revealing for sure about that story and the underworld itself, because, you know, like someone said earlier in the chat, they were saying that, you know, as reiterating my point that purgatory is a Catholic thing, but they're saying Catholic ... theory, and I don't know if theory is exactly right. I mean, it's not a theory per se, it's just a belief structure that predates modern Christianity, because even in the 2nd century there was this idea of hell being temporary, right? This is kind of the point of Jesus, is that Jesus is coming to end whatever he's the thing that ends that period, that cycle of Hades, or the death that is existing.
Let the dead bury the dead.
Right. And so there's an underworld that you can exist in waiting for the new world to emerge. And so Christianity already assumes that there's a temporaneous quality to hell. And modern Christians have forgotten this, and they use hell as a sort of, you have to pay taxes and do what you're told thing. But hell should be empty by now. That's why they took the book out of the Bible, of the harrowing of hell, because at this point Jesus has been to hell and emptied out hell, according to most early Christians. He dies and he has to go through all the things that a normal sinner would go through, but he's the Son of God. So he gets to hell, and it's like this Superman thing where he flies in and he frees everybody, and he actually gets to, you know, there's like a line to get to the devil, and at the devil's throne is Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve are kind of like Orpheus and Eurydice or something. They're like these trapped, miserable souls, and he has to free them. But by this point, hell should be empty. It should be empty. There shouldn't be cobwebs even, because even the spiders are gone. It should be light in there, and just there should be wind, because it's God's breath breathing through it. So there's not, I mean, without that part of the Bible, it's easier for people to be like, oh, well, hell is this eternal thing where people are suffering all the time. And that's very useful to people in control. But originally, there is this idea that you're working through something. And there's the story of the, you know, the well of forgetting, you know this, right? The well of forgetting and remembering, right? So you go through hell, you go through the underworld, and you're thirsty, and you come across the first pool and you drink from it. You'll forget everything and wake up alive, or in the next samsara naraka, the next ring of hell, right? Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
But if you can continue without drinking, and you continue on, I think it's the 3 days of walking through the underworld, you get to the pool of remembering. And if you drink from that pool after the pool of forgetting, you'll not only not forget, you'll remember things that you've already forgotten from the past, right? And that should awaken your entire collective consciousness. And people forget this, but the Jews believed in reincarnation. So they call it the Gilgul Nachamat. And it's this idea of the progression through 613 cycles. So you would remember all of the previous conscious existences that you were a part of before that, which are also different people could have collective experiences, because you can have your soul split off into different pieces and married into other souls as well.
Oh, yeah. It gets so complicated.
Right. Yeah. Your individuality is, subjective.
Okay. So like they, them pronouns might make a lot more sense.
Sure. I mean, well, that's for sure on even just the level that you could have in the past been my father, and I could have in the past been your daughter, and we could be each other's brother and sister, but you would be my brother and I'd be your sister. I mean, there's so many ways that could happen. But the other way is that we could have literally in the past, part of me and part of you could have been another person. And the other parts of us could have been each other's enemies. There could
like we share an oversoul.
There's the universal collective that we're a part of, this Akashic collective that we're a part of, but there's also multiple intelligences that make up me and make up you, and some of them have crossed and been another entity or coherence at some point.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so you have multiple souls in you, essentially, or parts of souls that could be combined together.
Okay.
And like some of them have like really enduring necessary processes, and some of them are very short, so there's easier things to process that are happening, but just these are intelligences that are like foam. We're made up of intelligence foam that come together. Thetans. Yeah, you know what, I'm not saying that just because I didn't trademark it, and I'm pretty sure someone else owns it. But yeah, that might be kind of what we're getting at here, and I don't think that it was invented in the 20th century, this idea. Let's put it that way. Trans concepts make way more sense in hyperspace than reality. Well said. What can I say? That's exactly right. Okay, but so you were talking about poetic justice, the underworld, the riddle of the Sphinx. Man,
yeah, I was just trying to give the presentation like some credibility, because then I go deep into like meme language. Okay, so like apocalypse takes place in the book of Revelation, and the word apocalypse means to reveal. And so COVID started in 2020, which is also a term for perfect vision. It was also kind of like the 20th tarot card is judgment, which has like Gabriel blowing the trumpet. And so we had like the Trumpets campaign that was going strong in 2020. There's also the 7 trumpets of the apocalypse. So it just felt like it was kind of like giving us some little clues, like some little winks from the Matrix.
Right. Yeah. The seven seal and all that, and the walking around the Jericho.
And then like, so I see, this is a hard thing, because like the information I was getting, I would be being bombarded with information that there was like tribunals taking place, that there was like these secret military tribunals, and all these people, all these traitors were being like tried and executed. And so there was just like all sorts of like tribunal rumors going on. And are you still there? I can't see you.
Yeah, I just thought I'd give you limelight.
Oh, I don't like it. So anyway, I just put like, because tribunal kind of like it kind of resonates with tribulation. So like, were we all being tried? Like, were we all being kind of like secretly tried in some sort of like government tribunal that we didn't realize was about us? And like the fact that
trials and tribulations.
Yeah. And like Camp Delta, I remember like that during 2020, it was always about the deep state, and like the deep state of consciousness, I would argue, would be like Delta brainwaves. And so the Guantanamo Bay camp is called Camp Delta.
Man. Yeah. It's interesting to think about that. So many people were praying for the judgment of the sinners they thought were so much worse than themselves.
Yeah, they were like reveling in it. People were so excited at the thought of the rumor of like people being tried and executed.
I mean, similarly, I gotta admit, but in retrospect, if you wish for the powers of the genie, you get all of the problems that come with it. So if you wish for the trials and tribulations to come down on all the sinners, you're going to be in that boat with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scary.
Okay. And so also like 2019 was the release of like Hades Town and Beetlejuice on Broadway in New York. And so to me, that kind of felt like foreshadowing.
I didn't see Hades Town. I don't know what it is. What was that? I imagine it has to do with a city of the dead.
Yeah, it's a story of Orpheus and Eurydice and
Really?
And there's a song in there about building a wall, which I found very interesting, given like Trump's wall. There's like one of the big songs is with Hades, like encouraging his people to build the wall.
Interesting. Was this worth listening to? Was the music good? Should I watch it?
I mean, I think because of your background, you should at least just listen to the soundtrack like once.
Okay. All right, I will for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do remember the Beetlejuice musical, and the Universal Studios Beetlejuice musical from the 1996. I saw both.
So then this to me felt like after our tribunals, we were cast down into Tartarus. We were on lockdown. Like all of us were judged and found collectively guilty. We weren't allowed to like go fun places. We could, just being locked down, to me, was like very symbolic that we were in trouble.
Yeah. And this was also around the time that Tartaria research became super popular to people.
Yeah.
Tartarus, land of the dead. Are we living in a world that's not the world that we were told it was?
Exactly. Oh my God.
And was it always like this? Even those questions were popular then. Was it always like this? Like if you go back, did they change history in the books? Did they change the Berenstein book? Or did they change the timeline? Did they literally change time space so that the Berensteins, do you remember the deal with that? I told you, right? That the Berenstain Bears grandson or son of the author said that the reason their name was not Berenstein, was because the Tartars had won a war against the Bohemians.
No.
Yeah, there's like an article where he's like, no, it's always been Berenstain, because it was from when the Slavic people and the Tartars, the Cossacks, I guess is a modern word used, were in a battle with the Bohemians. And if the Bohemians had won, then their name would have been Berenstein, because it would have been Germanic, so they would have used Stein. But since they lost, they had to use the more Slavic root, which was Stan,
I think there was something symbolic about it being Stain too, because it's like now the bear's Stain. Like, does the bear shit in the woods? Kind of like a joke on us.
It's a stain on everything, right?
Like it's a stain on our collective.
Right. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of names of countries that end in stan, like Pakistan. But like there's the Turan was the name of the at least historically accepted Eurasian Indo-Iranian Empire, the Turanian Empire, and almost everywhere that reaches from Spain to Georgia, where the Khazarians are associated with this. And so a big one is the use of these strange tent-like pyramid-like structures they have. They look like circus tents or something, but that they practice their religion inside of these tents, and that they were bringing them around to all of the different parts of Europe and Asia, into India, and they were performing sacrifices and administrating cities and everything. And their religion is based around kind of this idea of fire worship, destruction, in order to bring an energy that's into this world, right, that will change everything. It's also associated with the Zevites, the Khazarians, right, this association with the Zevites, the Zabbatai, Zevi, so apocalypse bringers, and that's kind of what the other side of it, like either we're living in the after the apocalypse, that kind of infers this idea of like bringing forth the apocalypse to get to that point, right, to end the world on purpose.
Oh yeah. And Berenstein is kind of like, isn't Bern in Switzerland near CERN?
That's probably one thing. If there's one place that's trying to manipulate space time anywhere more,
Yeah.
I got to go there. I think this year I'm going to try to make a trip to the CERN Center.
Okay. And then here was like, I mean, do you feel like when they told us all to stay 6 feet apart, were you like, where the hell did they come up with that?
So I'd heard that it had something to do with a Scottish medical thing in the 1800s, but this is the better answer. 6 feet under, 6 feet under.
Yeah, like to me, that was very much like 6 feet is the depth of a grave. 6 feet is like how long I think that you're supposed to make like the hangman's noose. We also had like all this talk about like flattening the curve, and I associate the flat curve with like a flat line, and they were always giving it like 2 weeks notice, which they said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 2 weeks. So like 2 week could be like we're too weak, but it also could be 2 weeks is a fortnight.
It's the growth of Fortnite, totally. Yeah, that's when Fortnite became the most popular games.
Yeah, so we had like Fortnite, which was an introduction pretty much into the metaverse, and meta means dead. So I felt like all together, if the Matrix was giving us some signs, like put all those in a combination.
It can mean dead, but it often can just mean beyond, right? Just beyond everything, like
Yeah.
the whole thing and beyond the thing, right? The meta of it, like the result or the culmination is the meta, right?
Yeah, I'll always associate it. When I heard it meant dead, I was like, that's like in my mind, like that's where that stays. But yes, you're right. And dead is beyond, right? Because there is no death. Like if we were exploring the idea that we're dead right now, then like obviously that's not.
I would use different words. So like for the Mayans, right? They use the word world. They use a word that means world bridging. If they don't really have a word for birth or for death, they have the singular word that means world bridging. Like they just world bridged in, they world bridged out, right?
Yeah.
But for me, meta is sort of seeing the whole thing and beyond it, seeing it in a different way. So imagine your relationship to Pac-Man, right? Pac-Man is existing in this XY plane, and you see the entire XY plane of his entire existence, infinity, going into itself, because it's really Pac-Man's in a tube, because if he goes out one side, he comes back around the other side, right? So it's a flattened out tube. But your observation of that is to see all of it and more than he can see. You're seeing the meta of Pac-Man's life. That's how I would use that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here is where we had like our first like celebrity announcement of COVID. It came from Tom Hanks, who happened to star in Inferno, which was about a billionaire who creates a virus to cull like the better half of humanity. It was released on Bill Gates's birthday, and that's the 1028 number. Like there's a lot of 1028 that's tied to this, and just a lot of things in this matrix. But so like Gates can kind of relate to heaven and hell also. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot here, because like Tom Hanks was in Australia when he made his announcement, which is, we consider Australia like the upside down, or like down under. So I guess I was relating that to the underworld. Rita was wearing her like a rip curl hat. And we also kind of associate, we call it Oz, which is a place of illusion, right? We call Australia Oz. And Oz also just happened to be a show about being in a prison.
Yeah. Super weird. Yeah, the Neptune symbolism I hadn't gotten before, but yeah, their obsession with the surfing stuff, total Neptunians. I never thought that. That's interesting. Also, around that time with Bill Gates, of course, patent 2020 060606A1.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what, 2019 application to use the human body with nanobots for mining cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
pretty sweet, actually. Kind of a good idea for that patent.
Okay, so here was where like obviously like the testing was like why are we testing a respiratory virus? It's like shoving a swab almost up into the brain. It felt very like Book of the Dead, ritualistic, or like or a lobotomy. Like something about that was not normal at all. Like never in the history of mankind did we test for a respiratory virus by like shoving something up the nasal cavity like that far.
Right. Oh man.
And then, okay, so like Fauci comes front and center during the pandemic. He was like such a joke. And like the name Fauci is derived from sickle, which is a harvesting tool related to death and time, which is like a Cronus Saturn symbolism. So
I don't know how I got through the last 5 years without knowing that. Interesting. Fauci, sickle.
And who knows? I know at that time that's what it said. Like they could change, AI could have changed it by now and be like, oh no, Fauci means the horse farmer or whatever. But at that time, like when I looked it up, it was Fauci meant like sickle. Yeah. And so during COVID, we were ushered into like a cryptocurrency, and like just crypto echoes the word crypt. And
yeah.
So that's like I
and rip. Oh, right.
Yeah, another rip curl, rippler, riddler. And again, riddles go back to the underworld. And so I just added, like, I remember Snoop Dogg, who is known as being a Crip, he headlined the crypto ball. So just like another matrix, like symbology.
Yeah, that was definitely. Somehow I missed that analogy or that connection, ripple and rip. That's really interesting. It goes right with crypt.
Okay, and then like the masks, there was so many masks. Masks were originally created as like funerary. Oh God, I can't even speak. Funerary masks. There's also the persona of the mask. Like a lot of us were forced to either like take off our mask or put on a mask. And so some of us had to like step up and like, not wear a mask psychologically or physically. It was kind of a
people were freaking out in places about already people covering their faces in public with, they were upset with the Muslims. They didn't want, I remember people getting in trouble because they wanted to take photos for driver's licenses wearing their hijabs, and then all of a sudden, in France they were saying you didn't want people wearing hijabs on the beach or something, and it was all these weird news posts, and then boom, it was everyone has to wear a mask.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. The other people, we used to like be uncomfortable with people wearing a mask, like in any type of situation. Like you always like associate it with like robbery, and then people became like terrified of not wearing a mask. But anyway, the mask was a really weird thing because like we all knew it didn't work anyway, but like people enforced it. It was I don't know. Still carrying on with the mask theme. We got Joe Biden as our president, and a lot of people accused him of being Jim Carrey in a mask. Jim Carrey was in the movie The Mask. There was, and Joe was always called Sleep. He was often nicknamed Sleepy Joe. And do you how like in dreams, how like people's faces change, right? Like, it's them, but like their face changed. And we were always seeing Joe Biden's face shift just a little bit.
Right.
Different like features would change, like his ears or his chin. It was just always shifting a little bit.
Yeah, he couldn't maintain stasis.
Yeah. Okay, taking it back to like, I feel like Trump played a Mercury Hermes archetype. Mercury is the messenger god associated with thieves, trickery, and the escort of souls into the underworld. The pandemic was officially declared on a Wednesday, which is Mercury's day. The event 201 was the pandemic simulation, and then 201 is the atomic mass of Mercury. Trump also, like anyone paying attention knows that like Trump is associated with multiple 88 references, and there's 88 days in a mercurial year. So there's all this like kind of information tying it back to like there's like a Mercury theme going on here.
Totally. Yeah, the messengers also associated with Satan, right? And so the Antichrist imagery, the gold and Apollo with Mercury, and with Hermes.
And we have always associated vaccines with Mercury, right? Like whether it was good or bad, true or false. Like people are always like, oh, it's the Mercury in the vaccines that's causing autism. And then whether, you know, that's the rumor that was associated with it. But then kind of like people who are autists are the ones that are seen through the simulation, or they're the ones that are really, seeing the patterns. So I don't know if that's like part of the messenger's message, but also like the messenger RNA was a big part of the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, hold on. I was going to look at that. What do you mean, the messenger RNA? Did you see a connection to that with? Oh yeah, of course, with the Mercury thing. I was trying to think about DNA itself in 88, and I was trying to find an 88 in my mind, but I couldn't think of one.
Okay, January 6th happens to be like this, like statistically most common day to die. And then there was all that talk. Remember how they were like, oh my God, the most dead people ever voted in this election. And like at one point I started to consider like, were they talking about us? Like, were we the most dead people to ever vote in an election?
Right. Wow.
It was on Capitol Hill. Like the Capitol is related with like Saturn. We had MAGA caps, capital punishment, capitalism. Our birth certificates are written in all caps. And then like after that January 6th event, Trump was charged with like 187 minutes of inaction. We all know 187 is a code in this matrix for homicide. There was all sorts of gallows set up at the Capitol. Like it all felt very, it just all felt very cryptic.
Yeah, and symbolic. I mean, that was the definite feeling for many people, was that everything was a show that was just there to plant specific words and numbers and symbols. It was a pretty normal way to think at the time.
Yeah. So Mercury is synchronized with Odin, who is the gallows god. January 6th was also on a Wednesday. So we had like the pandemic was declared on a Wednesday, and then January 6th was on a Wednesday.
Also interesting is Wednesday, Odin's day is Miércoles, which is, Mercury day for the Spanish. Yeah. Back to messenger.
Yeah. There was a lot of like Sleepy Joe talk, and sleep is like considered the sleep is a metaphor for death in a lot of ways. And he campaigned from his basement, which I thought was like very symbolic, like basement being the lowest point.
The underworld. Yeah.
Yeah. He campaigned from the basement. That's where that's where the morgues are. We also had like the baseless conspiracies going around, which I don't know if that like connects in any way, but it had, like,
all right. I agree with Eric, by the way. 88 double helix, because just visually,
oh yeah,
I'll take it.
All right, good job. So yeah,
sorry. Yeah. I was just something about creepy sleepy Joe Biden in the basement. For sure. And then oh man, good point also here.
Yeah, we had Mr. Pillow Guy as My Pillow Guy as like Trump's spokesperson during that time, which was really, really weird. I think there was something to him also being like an ex-crack addict.
He's also from Chaska, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Lindell.
Yeah.
Mike Lindell. Yeah.
He's running for governor of Minnesota right now, right?
I hope so. I mean, the poor guy, like he got his life really was doing, he did his best to help Trump, and then he ended up getting, because Trump was out of office for 4 years. The entire country did everything they could, the deep state, everything did everything they could to try to destroy this guy. It's kind of a bummer, And he had like some sort of a lawsuit that was, I forget what it was. Like he said, he bets like $1 million or $10 million that you couldn't disprove what was it about? The lawsuit about COVID or something? I'm trying to find it now. Hold on. Let me see here. November, he had to pay $1 million in penalties to California charity benefiting homeless persons to settle false advertising lawsuit. That's not the one. Dominion. Yeah, that's what it was. Dominion Voting Systems. In January 2021, Dominion Voting Systems threatened to sue Mike Lindell over his false claims of widespread fraud involving their machines. Dominion eventually followed through on their threats and filed a $1.3 billion lawsuit against MyPillow and Lindell on February 22nd, 2021, with Dominion CEO John Paulos stating, despite repeated warnings and efforts to share the facts with him, Mr. Lindell has continued to maliciously spread false claims about Dominion, each time giving empty assurances that he would come forward with overwhelming proof. These claims have caused irreparable harm to Dominion's good reputation and threaten the safety of our employees and customers. In 2021, Lindell filed a countersuit against Dominion voter suits, accusing Dominion of debasing the legal system. Around this same time, Dominion threatened legal action. Lindell said that retailers, including Bed Bath & Beyond in Texas, were removing MyPillow products from the stores. So they're trying to financially ruin him, right? And make it so that the business couldn't make any money. They were underperforming. Consumer
Do you remember when
reports.
he offered his pillows for $14.88 though?
Yeah, right here, $14.88.
Yeah.
Well, it happens. I think sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. I really don't think this guy's a super right winger.
I don't.
He's a right winger.
I thought that was interesting though. That was it made me wonder: is there alternate meanings to 1488 that we weren't, like we were given like the CIA code for it or whatever? But there's like, it made me look into like what else could it mean?
Yeah, good question. Things happen to this guy. If anybody's dead and living in their own hellscape, it's probably Mike Lindell. I guess that proves your point right there.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like a lot of us that are seeing like the same things, like abused substances throughout throughout our lives. Like I feel like there's a lot of us that are like, what is going on? What is this? What is this world we're living in? Like, we spend a lot of time poisoning ourselves, and so maybe we are like paying off our penance.
Have you seen Tom Waits' movie Wrist Cutters: A Love Story?
No.
Let me find it really quick. Wrist Cutters: A Love Story. So this movie is also about people living in death, or in the netherworld, the underworld.
Wow.
It's about like people who've committed suicide, but one of them has taken drugs and died in such a way. I think it's a place for people, like a purgatory or a limbo place for people who commit suicide mostly, or died in some way like that. But someone who doesn't belong there because they were just taking drugs and they accidentally died. It also has, I think, Gogo Bordello in it as one of the things, and then that girl from the early 2000s. Who was in like A Knight's Tale and Rules of Attraction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Tom Waits plays like the guardian angel in this movie. I would also highly recommend this. This is probably an easier watch or a quicker watch than Wayward Pines because it's just a 90-minute movie, but
yeah,
all about that same idea of people that I think substance abuse could be playing into your own personal purgatory. That makes sense for sure.
Yeah. And then we had this weirdness with Mark Zuckerberg during
Oh my
COVID.
God. Right. Yeah. It was like, how human do we have to really turn him up to? Because like,
yeah. Like awake is also a term for a funeral. And Mark Zuckerberg was memed twice during COVID due to his bizarre wake surfing antics.
totally.
Once where he looked like a mime, which takes me back to like the Underworld speaks in signs and riddles and symbols. And so was he telling us something without telling us that? But he also, going back to the 1028 stuff, he changed Facebook to Meta on 1028.
Yeah, 1028. So what's the thought with 1028?
1028, there's just it's a code. It's Bill Gates's birthday. I think the first vaccine was given to Elvis on 1028. It was the date of the Dante's Inferno. I think it's the date that like Elon took over Twitter. There's one of the towers fell at 1028 on 9/11.
Wow.
There's a whole I have a post on it.
Let me go back to that because I think that would be worth let's go to Miss Nick 06 real quick and then look for 1028. Can I just put 1028 or what would I do?
Do a slash.
Slash like that? Okay.
Yeah. No way.
I'll find it. I'm sure that it's just the internet.
I'm so annoyed that it's the search features don't take the slash out.
Well, no, I just had to change it from top to latest. It like block.
Okay,
I hate the way this works. They need to fix that.
Go down one. Okay,
This
so
one
that's like the main 1028 post.
Okay, let's check this out. Okay, so 1028, 1919, the Volstead Act was passed. 1028, 1922, Mussolini marches on Rome. 1028, 1929, Black Monday leads to the stock market crash. 1028, 1940, Mussolini invaded Greece. 1028, 1914, Jonas Salk, first vaccine inventor, is born. 1028, 1955, Bill Gates' birthday. 1028, 1956, Elvis took the polio jab on live TV. 1028, 2016, Inferno's released. 1028, 2017, the first Q drop. Wow. Okay. I feel like I'm, I should have remembered that. 1028, 2021, Facebook went, quote, Meta. Meta means dead. 1028, 2022, Elon took over ownership of Twitter. 1028, 2023, Matthew Perry dies. Wow. 10:28 a.m., 9/11, North Towers hit. 10:28 a.m., CERN LHC first powered up. 10:28 a.m., Marty wakes up in Back to the Future. Oh, it is. Out of time. That's great. That's crazy. That's some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah. I felt like 1028 needed its whole own presentation. Mr.
Lee Morgan, thank you for your super chat. Wow, really amazing work today in decoding. Thanks both very much.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Thank you.
We're very stoked to have you here. Yeah, that's crazy. That's a pretty good.
Are we in a matrix? I don't know, but it seems like yes.
But we're chill about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me I'll go back here. And then there's something definitely about the Beetlejuice face when he was wearing all white, like some sort of a ghost. In Asian, he's married to an Asian woman, right? Like a Chinese woman, right? Or something. Yeah. So the in a lot of Asian ghost culture, like stories, like horror stories, like in Japan and China, they have them like the demons or ghost demons wear white. You know what I mean? They have like these painted white faces.
Oh,
like in Indonesia. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like to me, like a Indonesian ghost demon. Let me see if I can make sure moderate search is on. Yeah, see, instant thing you see. Kuntil. There we go. That's what I'm thinking. Kuntilanak or Pontianak. is a vengeful spirit in Indonesia. It looks similar to a langster. There we go. It's the other one, right? These creepy white-faced kind of vampire things, a ghost of a woman who died while pregnant or giving birth. Asian folklore, white lady of Asian folklore, right? Yeah, these are these like creepy ghost things.
Yeah. There's a lot of ghost stories that involve a white lady.
Save search on. I'm telling you, you got to be careful these days. But yeah, the white face thing that they paint on. I wish I could find like the better picture I want to find of somebody like that. But you know, I feel like that and that are the same kind of the same thing. You know, that's what he's going for.
Yeah, like there's no way. Like that is so bizarre that Zuckerberg would be like out there just that covered in sunscreen. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's my pitch.
Yeah, and like the meta symbol is like an infinity symbol.
Yeah, and the 8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of actually what's interesting about it is if you really think about it, it's a Mobius strip, right? Meta logo Mobius strip. Let's see if someone's already made this point for me. Yeah, you know, like a Mobius strip is this. You know what it is, right?
No.
So you take a flat piece of paper, and then you connect it on the other side, but you flip it over once.
Okay.
Right. So this is one flat ribbon, but maybe if I look for the word GIF or something, that might help. See, yeah, a single piece of paper, and it looks like one continuous piece of paper, and there's actually only one side because at some point twists. So there's no two sides of this. It's actually just one side that just twists around. And if you were to follow it, you'd end up on both sides of it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's infinite on a secondary level. It's beyond an infinity
beyond?
symbol. Yeah.
Meta and beyond.
It's so meta, bro. That was the thing. I was so upset when that happened because I used to say meta a lot. I was like, I guess we're done with that.
Okay, and then here I was saying ancient cultures used to synchronize movement as ritual to enter trance states and transcend physical reality. During COVID, the viral TikTok nurses echoed this, ushering in a strange, dreamlike post-2020 world.
And the blue, kind of Krishna or the avatars of Vishnu, right?
Yeah, and like I think that was Apocalypto was where that scene came from, where they paint all their sacrificial people blue.
Yeah. Blue nurses, blue and white. Lawless blue. This kind of blue Facebook, Microsoft, Zoom, all the colors. It's so common to have blue be the main color for online things, the blue light, right?
Yeah, and didn't they just get rid of the blue screen of death, like this most recent version? Because the blue screen of death
I use Linux. I haven't seen a blue screen of death in years. I was actually looking into getting a loading like screensaver or like login page that looked like the blue screen of death, just because I miss it, you know?
Yeah. Here we saw like multiple images of Joe Biden falling down. Like he has the youngest looking 81-year-old legs I've ever seen.
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, underneath the face, that looks like they like purposefully make him look worse than he could ever. Yeah. So he can act sleepy all the time. So people will just let him, you know, go to sleep at the wheel. But he's got that Gerald Ford kind of Charlie Chaplin physical comedy routine down. You know, he's amazing at this. Like, imagine being this good at falling downstairs. Try it. I mean, don't try this at home. What am I saying? I'm really sorry. But it's hard. It's hard to imagine not getting hurt all the time. This guy should be breaking his shin, his ankle, you know. He should be really hurt doing a lot of these stunts.
The whole family would be called, like, you guys, grandpa fell down again, like he's in the hospital. But
again, like there's no way you could fall down this many times and not have serious like hip. And I mean, I know a lot of people that are in their 30s and 20s that skateboard in super ramps and get hurt in ways, you know, like you can understand even just falling, playing basketball and chipping your elbow or something. It's just really incredible how lucky this guy would be. I'm just saying. But okay, maybe it's real.
So like he was either the fall guy or he was a symbol of like the collective like falling into a metaphorical sleep or like a lower dimension. There was something there. Like there was some message being communicated by Joe Biden's chronic falling.
And his cold ice cream it's like the melting ice cream. I don't know.
Yeah. And then he was like nonstop eating ice cream during his presidency too. We always were seeing images of him eating ice cream. And we relate ice cream to brain freeze, which could allude to some sort of like Vanilla Sky type reality where we're all
Vanilla
like,
Sky ice cream.
We're all on ice. It also, like when I was watching The Good Place, which is also a show about the afterlife, like frozen yogurt is a huge theme in that show as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and even in your Wayward Pine show, there's like the sheriff is always eating ice cream.
We didn't mention that on air, but we should say that also is that Terrence Howard is the ice cream. Wayward Pines. The guy, the math guy, you know, everybody remember who says that like, 1 is 2 or something. I'm trying to find the picture. Oh, videos. I went to do images. There we go. Terrence Howard is the sheriff of Wayward Pines.
He's got an ice cream cone in his hand right there.
And he's always eating ice cream in every single scene. I think look, it's in every scene.
Oh my gosh!
Always wearing ice cream. There's not a single scene I think in the whole show where he's not eating an ice cream cone.
Wow.
So they they took a lot of effort to make that clear. I just felt like that probably means something for sure.
Yeah,
Vanilla
so like
Sky.
this is sort of like Vanilla Sky. It also like
Vanilla
Joe Biden
Sky.
pulled out of the race on National Ice Cream Day, which was a Sunday.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I didn't know that.
He dropped out of the presidential race on Ice Cream Day, literally.
Jesus.
And so I also wondered if there's some sort of like Biden time theme going on there. Like, were we in limbo? Biden time. There definitely was something being conveyed. Like there was some message there.
He's just biding his time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here Biden's press secretary always said she had to circle back. That woman never had any information that was requested of her at the time. She always she'd come up with her binder and people would ask her questions and she'd be like, we're gonna have to circle back. We're gonna have to circle back. You could probably find a video of this somewhere online, but there was like 1,000 times that she said we have to circle back. And so like if I was questioning like what else could that mean, I would have to say like we circled back in the wheel of karma.
I'm trying. Let me get sound for this clip here. Here we go.
I'll circle back if there's more I can share with you. I'll circle back with you if there's more to convey. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back. I'm happy to circle back with you. I can circle back. I will have to circle back on that one. That's an excellent question. Oh, such an important question. We will circle back with you, and we'll circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back. I'm happy to circle back, but I'll have to circle back with you on it. It's a good question, but we'll circle back with you on this today. We will certainly circle back with you more directly.
Oh my god! All right.
Circle back, girl.
Whoa.
So like that to me, I was like, what the hell does this mean? Like, there's no way. That's not normal for someone to just like say that all the time. So
but samsara is normal, right? So
yeah,
that's all right. Circle back. I'm trying to find. Let's zoom in on this a little bit or something there. I mean, oh great, the lowest resolution picture I can find. That's almost worse. Okay. But yeah, circle back.
Yeah.
That actually scares me more than anything. They know we're dead.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but during Biden's presidency, we suddenly got like a sign language communicator all over the place. And that again, like, reminded me that the underworld speaks in signs, it's in symbols. And so also, like, you know, with like the Illuminati or whatever, that like all the symbolism we see, they're always communicating with symbols or sign language, but they don't just come out and tell us anything. Like we have to interpret it for ourselves. But I felt like the White House was like helping us, like, read the signs, you dummies. Like, here's a sign language interpreter for you. Like, read the signs.
Right. Speak no evil, so see no evil, hear no evil. Yeah.
Yeah. This goes back to like all the trans talk that was going on after COVID. It went from like straight from COVID to like trans, which death is also a transition. And so I was kind of taken aback when I learned that like the name that you used to be called is called your dead name. And we kind of like, we also all transitioned kind of into a metaverse after COVID, with everything going online, with all our meetings taking place on Zoom, and just kind of the cryptocurrency and all that.
What's the Trump 2018, I think, Economist cover? Is it 2018 or 2016? How long ago was this?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The Economist. It was the Trump tarot cover. Economist. Yeah. I think it was. There we go. Yeah, and so 2017. Okay, so 2017. here's the magician card on that, and it's a guy wearing an Oculus headset, 3D printing houses with Infinity logo above him.
Oh, right. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, this was my favorite cover of Economist. I don't know how many favorite covers I have of it. I mean, they're actually usually pretty good.
Yeah, it can be interesting. I also never noticed the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, let's do let's see, where's the Wheel of Fortune right there. Yeah.
It's like a misfortune.
And this is very similar to a music video that Tim Pool put out, where, you know, you have people having revolutions, and then the revolution turns, you know, it's revolving, a giant puppet show that goes from one leader to another leader, and then just
the voting ballot boxes.
Yeah. And I wish I remembered who the faces were on these suns, but we're all stars over, maybe, you know, Pluto, I think this might be. And then, or it could be Mars, or it could be Mercury, I'm not sure, but the star, and you got the shooting star at the center, which is kind of this cosmic shooting star that looks feminine. If you turn it, you can kind of see it's like a woman, right?
Yeah, at first I thought it was a comet.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably both, right? I think it's a woman and a comet. It's maybe
Venus, because Trump's brought in a lot of like divine feminine with his.
And Venus is associated with Satan and with the falling star, because Venus is phosphore, and in fact, Lucifer wasn't really the word in the Bible, that it's a mistranslation from phosphore. So it meant, you know, not that Lucifer was falling, but that Venus was descending, right?
Yeah.
Got a super Joe Wallace. Thanks for having Nicole Wordsmith on. Love her work. Yeah, right. Isn't she great?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for getting me back to her presentation, though. Thanks for the reminder. Cool. I just remember that Black Lives Matter transitioned into Trans Black Lives Matter, and I was like, how far can it go? Let's go further.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I didn't even include Black Lives Matter. That feels relevant, though. I should have, just because of the color black and what that symbolizes.
And death, because it was all about the death of George Floyd. So
Yeah, and he died on Memorial Day, which is also about death.
What a tragedy.
So where was I going with this? Oh, this is just more sleep and dreams and stuff like Trump's. We had all sorts of buzzwords about like the wealthy buying bunkers and conspiracies being debunked. And then also we had like Trump with his events at Bedminster. He was right before he was diagnosed with COVID. He had an event at Bedminster. So just taking it back to more like sleep and dreams and death symbolism.
Free money. Take it and take care. Thanks, Joe.
1028. That's awesome.
Based.
That's so cool.
Somebody's listening. Oh yeah, coronation and corona.
Yeah, they share the same root. And then when we had like King Charles in what is it, coronation, there was an appearance by the Grim Reaper, which was called Death's Shadow. So that was just like another thing to add to the pile as far as I was concerned.
Wow. Brutal. And a blue carpet. You know, I always think of a red carpet they roll out the red carpet, but
right. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Good catch.
The Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah. Holy See is also the Holy See is the Vatican. So
yeah, we were all scrolling after and during COVID. It ushered into a digital underground. We also had a rise in shadow bans. Mm-hmm. And a shadow is one of the most ancient symbols of death, places of the dead where shadowy and dead where the dead were described as shadows. So to me, that all was like further.
And everyone was trying to integrate their shadow. I mean, you know, like the shadow is the part of you that was let loose during COVID when everyone was at home and they didn't go to work and you could just be whoever you wanted to be and there was no one there to watch you. You were all of a sudden released as your own shadow.
Yeah. And the collective like failed to integrate any of they all were projecting it out to the left or out to the right, like projecting their shadow onto the other side.
Ego death. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like synchronicities really ramped up after COVID. We also had like the rise of RFK Jr. And like I don't think I went into that though, but I think there was something very symbolic about like the horse dewormer with horses representing psychopomps and kind of like dreams, and RFK having a horse voice, like horse. And he used to do talks about addiction too. So taking this back from Mike Lindell being a crackhead, RFK was like a heroin addict, and he said that the way that he discovered God was through Jung's synchronicity.
We have a group called the Kitchen Sink. That's an older sync group, you know. And so the Sync Book, the Sync Press, Sync Tank, the Kitchen Sink, and the Sinkhole. There's all these different sync groups that have existed for ages. So they were having a really big problem with, you know, like Secret Sun was having a really big problem, Christopher Noel, with Trump and with at the time, you know, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because he's been on this show a number of times. He's awesome. But at the time, I was very concerned about how the group of synchronicity and synchro magicians could be misused by the deep state. And so there was an indexing and a pausing of the group for a long period of time. And our friend Alan Green, Abedesson, who was part of the Sync Press and has done 2020, a great documentary, Secrets in Hindsight is 2020. Mm-hmm. He deleted, I think, the Kitchen Sink group. And then we've rebuilt it, or maybe they deleted any inactive user. That's what it was. So a lot of people were lost from the sync group. But one of their big hatreds, I think, was Elon Musk, and it was really interesting that at that point, of all things he did, he brought in a kitchen sink. You know,
wow!
Let that sink in. And so I've always wondered about that, even just, you know, from the meta of synchronicity. It might not be that he did this completely in knowing, but I wouldn't be surprised because apparently he reads weird books. I would not be surprised if he got his hands on the sync book.
That's so funny. Yeah, there's no like mistake with him and all his sync. Let those sink in.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, meme magician is strong, right?
Mm-hmm. So this was like, COVID happened during an election year. Elections are always on leap years. We associate leap with frogs. Frogs croak. Croaking is a euphemism for dying. There was a viral plague of frogs that happened during that 2020 election.
Liz croaking.
Yeah.
All these years later, I never thought of croaking. Dude,
yeah. We had
I don't know how you catch these, and I don't know how I don't, but like, my God, croaking. So good. That's so good. What?
She was
also, for some reason, I was just already getting, how did I not think about the fact that every election year is a leap year? I never thought about that, but of course, duh. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't know if the boiling the frog was definitely a theme in 2020.
Right.
Liz Crokin was the one that exposed the Pizzagate, and pizza was actually first created like right near Hades. I think the first pizza was ever made near Lake Avernus, which was like the mouth of Hades.
Wow.
And then I don't know. Alex Jones kind of talks like he has a frog in his throat too. He was screaming about the gay frogs, but that was just kind of my like. Frogs are also meta, right? Because they have like a full metamorphosis. They make a full transition.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Isn't it Baal or something? Like, has a frog. The demon in the Goetia has the Trump cat frog looking spider thing. You know what I mean? This guy. This is Baal or Baal. He's got this frog head. Is one of the. Yeah. Seems like there's something to that for sure.
Yeah. So the underworld is often described as a labyrinth of red tape, judges, and process. Hades, Sheol, the Duat, DC could be an acronym for death certificate. It represents the soulless administration machine, a modern Osiris presiding over the land of the dead. Just kind of goes back to like how, I mean, it could only be this bad if they tried, right? Like they are. There's no way any of these like government offices could be. I mean, it takes like 30 years, right? It takes like half a lifetime for someone's like a Supreme Court judgment to be made, or like the DMV is just a literal joke. The post office, like all of these government, oh my God, don't get me started on the IRS. Like don't try.
Right.
Yeah. Like
which is a major point of some of these, like Beetlejuice for sure, kind of shows this DMV kind of thing with the IRS. And yeah, the show recently, Chaos or whatever, the one with Jeff Goldblum as Hades, kind of seems like similarly like an IRS thing. And yeah, also the Risk Cutters a love story. Tom Waits, the angels kind of seem like the IRS, I would say, like more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, because I remember on Beetlejuice when she said like suicides get sent to work like bureaucratic jobs in the underworld. And I've thought about that work in my own job many times.
It'd be the worst. Oh no.
Here I was just going into like Oz is related to the green god of the underworld, Osiris. COVID was announced by Tom Hanks in Oz, which is a prison colony, or it started as a prison colony. Trump appointed TV Dr. Oz for Medicare service. Trump has also made all sorts of claims and a desire to purchase Greenland. So I was just bringing all the green back to Osiris.
Right. And green Osiris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's green. That's pretty sure. And then it's under ice. Greenland's under ice.
Yeah. Here was another weird thing. Like we've had so many presidents captured with like flies on their face.
Totally. This was crazy.
Yeah. And in the show Westworld, which is like the West is symbolic of death, Western civilization. The West Wing is like a theater of the undead. Flies are messengers of rot, decay, and the presence of death. And we've had like, just and the characters in Westworld, when a fly would land on their face, they weren't programmed to like respond. And so they would just sit there as a fly crawled up and down their face. And all these presidents have had, like, I couldn't imagine a fly being on my face and not like noticing and freaking out.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, all these people had flies on them.
They're like corpses made of feces that they can just fester. Yeah, it's a serious sign that something's wrong.
Yeah. So after COVID, the mushroom use exploded. There was all sorts of mushroom products being advertised everywhere, like mushroom coffee, mushroom supplements, and like all like people taking psilocybin on everything, like a little bit of mushroom chocolate. It feels like everyone I know, like even just like total like housewives are taking a little mushroom chocolate Saturday night. So it just feels like mushroom.
It's just about anything they offer you on TV, I guess,
Yeah, mushrooms grow out of shadows. They emerge from rot, darkness, and decomposition and transform death into life.
Yeah, and we're part of this. I mean, if there's an Akashic record, it might be through mushrooms holding on to memories that we are receiving. It might be a big part of it, like the Avatar tree. But all of our trees are really just nutrient planted by mushrooms. We and trees, the whole system, humans and plant life, are kind of in the hands of the psilocybin, or any kind of mycelium, but probably psilocybin because it's the one with the highest neurotransmitter rate.
Yeah, they're the neural network of the universe. So then this is taking it back to like, I don't know where I was going with this. The underworld is related to madness. When time breaks, the mind follows, and we had like the Q clock. I don't know how I don't know if you followed like the QAnon. There was like a clock related to it, and so everyone was looking at timestamps to be like, when did he post this, or this came at this time, and there was, and again, like the underworld in Alice in Wonderland had to do with like tea time, which T equals time in this matrix, but like the Mad Hatters went mad because of Mercury. So I was just bringing it back to that kind of madness, like the collective madness that we've all had since COVID, like making connections and stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to look more into the Q clock, but we had some people in this, let's say, in the Tartary Nova, the recent Tartarians, who were pretty Swiss clocked about it. Interesting. Wow. This picture here on the side here of Dante's Inferno, kind of the Samsara Dante's Inferno over the linear accelerator at CERN.
Yeah. So during Jimmy Carter's funeral, Melania wore a blouse which depicted Circle 2, Canto 5 of Dante's Inferno. It was in a relief decorating Rodin's bronze portal, The Gates of Hell. And so I was just going back to The Gates of Hell and how kind of the Hadron Collider resembles Dante's Inferno.
Meow.
So like Trump's inauguration was a weird one too. It was like the coldest inauguration in like 40 years. He had to bring it indoors, but it was very like Saturnian.
The Saturn hat on Melania. Yeah. Oh yeah, you say this even on your porch.
A Saturnian hat. And then there was like, and she also, Melania had a black hand depicted, which in the occult, like a black hand is indicative of someone who dabbles in the underworld. Then we had like a weird thing with Carrie Underwood. There was like a glitch during the inauguration, which caused her to sing a cappella which put another like cap word in there because Trump is associated with so many caps, the MAGA caps and the Capitol, and she had to sing a cappella and like Saturn's. Yeah, do you see that? Like the black hand? It was weird. Oh, you're kind of, I can't hear you right now.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, it looks really weird how dark it is fine. I can imagine, I guess, in the shadow or something, but the way the nails are so white, something about that does seem just a little weird. I mean, yeah, but she's like, don't worry about how weird my hand is. Look how weird my freaking face is. Okay.
Yeah. And then like, yeah, this is where I ended it though. But like, ever since Trump's second term, like we have just been bombarded with like ICE themes.
Yeah.
Been all about ICE raids. Symbolically, ICE represents death and stasis. In Dante's Inferno, the ninth deepest circle of hell is a frozen lake. And then we even had like the Coldplay couple this year. They were like forever frozen, right? In the public psyche.
Right.
So anyway, this concludes my presentation of are we in a suspended eternal winter until our awareness thaws the veil and we melt the ice that surrounds our own hearts.
Yeah, okay, we'll muse on that for a second though. So let's extrapolate. So I mean, you take this all together, and what is kind of the main visual? Like you're seeing the coldness, the frozenness, the underworld. What is the yes? And then you had a resolution just now. Like emphasize that.
Well, okay, so like I see a lot of Saturn, obviously, with the ice, like the ice rings. Trump's is kind of Saturn. Like Saturn even had a golden age, and so remember how Trump was always talking about the golden age. Saturn is Cronus, he got cast down to Tartarus as well. And so I think like it relates to the harvest, it relates to time, it relates to limitation, it relates to karma, like mostly karma. And so I think I would have to guess that this, Saturn is the god of this matrix. And so we are here to like learn our lessons, change our way. Like I would say this is all giving us a sign to like change our ways. I would say that the drug abuse is a huge problem for the collective. A lot of people complain. I remember after COVID, a lot of like bros were complaining about microplastics or something in their food, but they weren't worried about like the alcohol or the stuff they were smoking or any other drugs that they were putting in their own body. But they would be like, angry about the government stuff
pesky microplastics.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. I just feel like we're still so used to just like looking outward for our source of like anger or victimhood. But like this, I don't know. I think if we just kind of like realize like, okay, we are in like some sort of collective place of like judgment. We are being weighed and measured, which Mercury is the god of weights and measures. And there is no easy out. Like we're not going to like drug ourselves out of here or like do the easy thing. Like we have to like to do we have to forgive, we have to apologize, we have to like get our ass out of bed in the morning, we have to like clean up our messes, we have to go to work, or we have to just do all the things to make Saturn proud.
Yeah, and so that's interesting because the Hellenic idea was that we're in hell, which is the sun in light, right? And we're escaping Saturn. We've escaped Saturn into Jupiter's reign. So do you see that as why are we not in Jupiter's reign and why are we in Saturn's reign? Right? Because Jupiter supposedly killed his father Saturn, right?
Yeah. All I see is Saturn everywhere. I'm an Aquarius and my name is Nicole, which goes back to the Nick, which goes back to time. So I see Saturn. Maybe I don't see the Jupiter. I mean, Jupiter is kind of related to Jesus, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of, I don't know, depends on what you mean. Sure, the son of God, the son of Saturn is Jupiter. Hades, I mean, I'm sorry, Zeus is Jupiter. So Zeus is a character that you could kind of connect to Jesus, but really a lot of people would connect Bacchus or Dionysus to Jesus. And not that they're entirely similar either, but the son of, you could also connect. It depends on what you want to do. Like Hercules is even like a half human demigod, kind of in certain circumstances in light. Like Jesus was looked at as like more human than the gods, right? So, but they're different stories. Like because Jesus is a altruistic, pure, perfect person, which is very Vedic, not very Hellenic. Hellenic belief is very antichrist or imperfect or evil, or like these. Zeus kills his father because he's been swallowed by his father, right? Saturn is this evil character. Kronos is this evil character in a lot of ways. It has a taste for eating life, and when he's killed by his son, he makes his son take a bite of himself in the process, which gives his son the taste for flesh and the taste for blood and the taste for life that he has. He like imparts this horrible, insatiable urge to consume life onto his son, and he makes his son, then Zeus, is now consuming humans, which is why mortals die, right? And he ropes his brothers into this, Neptune, to flow waters down the throat into the mouth of the god head, into the river of Styx, into Hades, his realm, and Hades, tongue and mouth, like consuming into the mother, into the earth, consuming all this life. So the gods are consuming your life. And there are Christians that believed that the world was that brutal. There were heretics, there were Gnostics that thought of that you were trying to escape, and that the serpent was really just trying to help you escape. But that's not the most conventional current form of Christianity. So there's definitely a separation there. But I don't know. It's just the idea of being trapped by Saturn and wondering what magnanimous power Zeus or Jupiter, has over us. Like Zeus and Jupiter are constantly trying to, molest and assault women, torture men. His sister wife Juno is constantly upset at his affection for women, and she's cursing them. So the gods are not blessing us by that logic or that rhetoric. Those gods, that pantheon is upset at you, kind of wicked, jealous of you, and cursing you, and constantly tricking you, giving you a harder life than you deserve, right? And so that's a very different, that's a different belief structure, I think, than the Christian idea that you're being protected.
Yeah. Well, so, like Jupiter is a god of expansion too, though, right? Like
totally, he's hot air. He's this big, magnanimous, he's got this hot air thing going on where he's very full of himself, just but he's full of hot air. He's not solid,
To me, I feel like things are like shrinking a little bit. Like our lifespan has gotten shorter, right? Hasn't our lifespan gotten shorter recently?
It depends. Some people, yeah, for sure. I think that's the other thing when you have such a huge population. But yeah, a lot of people's lifespans are a decade shorter than their parents' lifespan, because
like the housing problem, like more people are having to move back home. Like to me, it's at least for me, it seems like things are kind of like contracting a little bit. But I don't know. We'll get smaller. We're living in the metaverse.
I think also, yeah, it depends. That's an interesting idea, because a lot of the idea of the expansion of the universe, that stars are moving apart, we could take and think of back at ourselves, that if we were part of that universe expanding, then we would be expanding. So if you were to meet yourself in the past, you would be bigger than you were in the past. Like you could be a giant talking to yourself when you were 20. You might be 100 feet tall to the 20-year-old version of yourself because the universe was closer together, or like things were denser.
What about like all the Ozempic right now? Like everyone's shrinking because of Ozempic.
That's another thing is fat is something that helps with telepathy, right? Because it allows for energy flow, and your brain needs a certain amount of fat in order to function properly. So it seems like even worse than fluoride is Ozempic. If there's some kind of thing that would be bad for your pineal psychic skills or something. But you know, people are saying it's making them blind, right? Like, or I don't know how true that is, but
even if it's just a rumor, that would be kind of like Oz again, like
the third eye would be something that, you know, would be part of the blinding in that idea, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great presentation. I like what you're showing. I want to look into more the Saturn relationship, because it does seem like the elite worship Saturn. There's a huge relationship with the wearing of all black, and you know, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Maher, all these characters that are presenting themselves as secular atheists. But wouldn't you, if you were a Saturnian? That's probably part of the reason. There might be something to that philosophy that connects to the denial of the pantheon or to the Godhead. In order to be
like
part of the Saturn
black
cult.
cube is related to Saturn. Like if this was all a simulation, like is the black cube like the console that's rolling it? You know, people wear black, like the black graduation cap that goes back to Saturn. The black robes that the judges of our courts wear go back to Saturn, and like it's just a slow moving justice. And I think that's how Saturn is too. Like we get our karma, but we get it way later after the fact, so that it's harder to put a cause and effect to what's happening. Like now I get it all the time. I'm like, my karma comes back at me so fast that I don't even mess around at all. Like I am so good now. But
I've noticed. It good says Revelation says everything will be reduced by a third.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So there could be something to this idea. I mean, the universe is breathing in and out, or things are getting smaller, that we're losing, or that there's a payment, a sacrifice. Someone said yesterday, a sacrifice isn't a sacrifice if it's an exchange, right? Or something to that effect. I think that's an important point too, that we have to look at exchange versus sacrifice. There might be actual loss. We're so used to there not being loss that everything is created and destroyed, you know, is really just changed. There's nothing really created or destroyed, but there could be a period of loss that ensues. Cats are the guardians of the
end. That Saturn is the god of Israel.
Mm-hmm. L.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. And then Jupiter. So really, yeah, Christianity is sort of the messianic son of God cult. I guess on that level alone, you could say that the Saturn cult and the cube are more. I mean, yeah, we should ask David about that. I wonder what David has to say about Saturn. Next time we have Think Tank, we'll talk about Saturn more. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Is there I want to check really quickly through the comments here. Have you seen the comments on the side? If there's anybody who has any questions that they wanted to ask, Aquarius, Pluto, some of these things. Saturn and Mercury are both friends in neutral astrology. And Europa is an ice moon of Jupiter.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, there was a lot of like Mercury along with the Saturn symbolism that took place. So that Saturn Mercury friendship makes a lot of sense since COVID.
Yes, true. That's crazy. Okay, well, let me also maybe I should share some things from your page really quickly as well, and make sure everyone knows, if you're watching this, how to find more Anna Nicole Wordsmith content. You go to x.com missnick06, and you could also just type in Anna Nicole Wordsmith. I'm sure she'll be easily found. And she's amazing posts here, all about different sorts of synchronicities.
that was just a weird thing, like with the shooting that happened with a T-Rex across from a shark. So I was looking into like, what is this? At first, naturally, like the T-Rex to me relates to time, because T equals time and Rex equals king. So, and I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff with like time that came up, like TikTok. We didn't even get into that, right? But like,
and getting someone out of the car is like usually in a car crash, you have to use the jaws of life.
Jaws of life, yeah. And she died in a car. And like time is money, and we have like the FINRA, it goes with finance, but like we associate sharks with fins. So just in the collective conscious, like what these things can represent is what I post.
Yeah. No, they're incredible. These posts are incredible. I mean, there's things where I don't know how I didn't see them myself in the past. Every time, I don't know. They're really brilliant insights that you find, and you know, when she reveals them to you, you'll be so grateful to see them, but you'll wonder how you didn't see them. It's like, of course, they're so difficult to see, but then you're like, how could I have not seen this before? You know that feeling? That's what I get all the time.
Thank you.
So yeah, make sure you're all following Miss Nick 06. Anything else you wanted to make sure I share? Because I know you've got some pretty cool posts here I could pull up.
No, I feel like there's so many, like I come up with new ones every day that I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reiterate this one just because it has Saturn in it. ICE is now popping caps into American mothers' faces. ICE is not just a name, it's death and Stacy's. Saturn, cold, distant planet of death and harvest, metal, lead bullets, encircled by ice rings. Ice caps freeze life, emotions, truth. The ninth circle of hell, Cocticus, an ice lake where traitors are locked in eternal cold. The media manipulates our eyes, spins names and fears. ISIS to shape narrative and leave us numb, yet truth still burns beneath the frozen surface until we melt the ice around our hearts. We remain trapped in infinity, doing figure eights in the circus of death.
That's how I felt about that.
Whimsical. I like it. It's so good. All right. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much, Nicole. We'll do this again. And
thank you so much for letting me come on and share my presentation.
Do it again. Make more presentations. These are really fun. I appreciate it. Okay.
Right. Thank
Peace.
you.